between Liverpool and Burnley, match week 2022 in the 2025-26 season, and the Reds have slipped to 5th coming into this one on the back of Manchester United winning their first game under Michael Carrick. A point or 3 here today on Merseyside would lift Arne Slot's team back into the Champions League places as Burnley remain inside the relegation zone. Team news coming on the back of that 0-0 draw away at Arsenal last time out in the Premier League. Slot makes 2 changes to his starting lineup as Curtis Jones comes into the midfield and Jeremy Frimpong takes Conor Bradley's place in defence. Hugo Ekitike has been past fit to start and he replaces Alexis McAllister as the Reds look to extend their unbeaten run of 9 Premier League games. The Liverpool team in full: Alisson in goal, Frimpong alongside the ever-present Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk in defence. Milos Kerkez is preferred at left-back and Jones and Gravenberch will anchor the midfield. Florian Wirtz is also preferred as he looks to continue a positive few weeks as a Liverpool player. Dominic Szoboszlai on the opposite flank with Cody Gakpo and Hugo Ekitike leading the home side's attack. As for Burnley, 2 changes also for Scott Parker after they drew 2-2 away at Manchester United last time out in the Premier League. Marcus Edwards is preferred to Hannibal in attack, and there's a change in the back 3 as excuse me, Axel Twinzaby comes in alongside Maxim Estive and Bashir Humphreys. Martin Dubravka, ever present in goal. It's an unchanged midfield of Kyle Walker, Florentino Luis, Leslie Okechukwu and Lucas Perez. Jadon Anthony and Armando Broja join Edwards in attack. And just the final run through with the 2 captains, Walker and Van Dijk, in conversation with the officials before we get ourselves rocking and rolling here today. Andy Madley is the man in the middle at Anfield. Lee Betts, Mark Perry, the 2 assistants, with Michael Salisbury on VAR. Liverpool, of course, still on the fringes of the Premier League title race, 35 points. Arsenal leading the way on 49. The objective right here and right now, of course, is Champions League qualification, but it's not over until it's over. There's still a long way to go for the defending Premier League champions, seeking to win back-to-back EPL titles for the first time in their history. Jurgen Klopp, of course, breaking the 2-decade duck here on his slot, a title winner in his first campaign in charge, but he's under pressure after a mixed first half to 25-26. Strong favourites today though, Liverpool. They've won their last 6 Premier League games against Burnley, and the Clarets have only beaten Liverpool twice in 19 Premier League meetings, only 1 here at Anfield. That was way back in January 2021. But if you're looking for history to repeat itself, Burnley fans, that was when Liverpool were indeed the defending champions. And it will be Burnley to get us kicked off here today, going from left to right in their change strip of light blue. And Liverpool in royal red, right to left. And we are underway here at Anfield. Liverpool against Burnley. 1 ball forward from Martin Dubravka is immediately dealt with by the Reds backline, and Milos Kerkez just trying to dart over the halfway line. Bumped off the field of play though by Kyle Walker. Burnley on paper here set up in a 3-4-3 system. Humphreys, Estive and Twinzaby as the defensive unit. Kyle Walker and Perez tasked in the wide areas. Luis and Okechukwu will anchor, and then it's on Anthony and Edwards to get forward as much as possible to try and lend a hand to Armando Broja. Tussle there between Humphreys and Ekitike midway inside the Burnley half, but it's cleared away. Van Dijk will just knock that down for Milos Kerkez. Here's Dominic Szoboszlai dropping back into the centre circle, tries to dictate early on here for Liverpool. Swept over for Jeremy Frimpong. Conor Bradley, of course, has confirmed that he will miss the remainder of the season. Suffered a serious knee injury in that rather bad-tempered end at the Emirates Stadium a couple of weeks ago. Force another defensive rejig for Arne Slot. Giovanni Leone is also set to miss the remainder of the campaign with an ACL problem, so it's a real head-scratcher for the Dutch coach in terms of his defensive options. No Mark Gay, of course, he's reportedly on the verge of a switch to Manchester City. The long-standing Liverpool transfer target has seemingly made up his mind, and it'll be Manchester, not Merseyside, where he'll be playing his club football for the remainder of this season. Throw in for Burnley over in their left-back spot there. Frimpong just losing out against Pires. So just in front of the Burnley penalty area here. And Viet and Ekatike will try and squeeze up. Andy Madley there just telling the Burnley players to get on with it. Konate will nod it back down that right channel for Liverpool. Bounce out of play for a throw-in in favour of the Reds. Konate once more. Another player who's found himself in sharp focus this season. It's been an up-and-down campaign for the France international, but due to a lack of options, he's started every single Premier League game. That's a lovely link up here. Kerkez in the box, squared across. And a fantastic recovery at the far post there. And Milos Kerkez. Excellent movement here from the Hungarian. Just raids over the halfway line unopposed. Lovely link up with Dominic Szoboszlai. And he just tries to roll it across to the far post, where Curtis Jones was waiting to turn it into the back of an empty net. And Pires gets back in right on time to clear it over his own crossbar. And it will be a corner for Liverpool. And that is a fantastic bit of defending from Lucas Pires. Curtis Jones would have had himself the easiest of tap-ins there. Curled in by Gakpo, headed away on the far post. Wirtz tries to keep it alive for Liverpool. Fantastic fullback play that from Milos Kerkez. Just spotted that gap in between Walker and Tuanzebe. And Liverpool will come again. Here is Kerkez once more. He's claiming the final touch came off a Burnley player there. Madley signals a goal kick in favour of the Clarets. Really bright opening first 5 minutes here for Arne Slot's team. Kerkez leads the charge, links with Szoboszlai. And only that intervention from Lucas Pires keeps Burnley on level terms. We're also goalless across all of the other Premier League 3 PM kickoffs, which we do have live audio coverage of. Chelsea 0, Brentford 0, Leeds United 0, Fulham 0. Goalless at the Stadium of Light between Sunderland and Crystal Palace. And in a London derby, it is Tottenham 0, West Ham 0. We will endeavour, as always, to keep you up to date on the latest across all of those games, but we've had quite the start here at Anfield. Now Burnley trying to make something for themselves over on that far left-hand side. Jayden Anthony just stepping in, curling one high and wide beyond Alisson's goal. He's a man in form though, Jayden Anthony. Scored an absolute belter against Manchester United at the start of the calendar year, securing a point against the Red Devils in what was Ruben Amorim's final Premier League game in charge, and he's Burnley's top goal scorer so far this season, 5 in the Premier League. Here is Konate, just tiptoes over the halfway line. Jones immediately squeezed there by 2 Burnley players. Breuer will force Konate back to Alisson. Again, the direct ball up towards Ekatike, but Steve just wins out once again. Here is the captain, Virgil van Dijk. Pretty much all one-way traffic so far, 7 minutes gone. 78% possession in Liverpool's favour. Yet to test Dubravka though in between the Burnley posts. Here come nice little link up over on that far right hand side. Frimpong to the byline, cut back towards Wirtz though is hacked away by Bashir Humphries. Konate, lovely take there on the halfway line. He had Breuer for company, but just about manages to win out. Curtis Jones is then under a bit of pressure and concedes to throw in right on the halfway line. And for the second time in quick succession, the Burnley throw-in taker, Bashir Humphreys, is warned by the referee. Andy Madley will anticipate will take action over any potential time waste, and even at this early stage of the game. Here is a Steve just inside his own half, and that pressure from Ekatike forces him back to Dubravka. Floated across. Well won on the halfway line there by Florentino Luis. Distinctive individual in the heart of Burnley's midfield with his crop of bright blonde hair. Following that injury to the captain Josh Cullen, it's a fairly consistent pick in the middle of the park for Scott Parker. Okechukwu joined in the summer permanently from Chelsea, alongside the Brazilian here on loan from Benfica. Parker does of course have a purchase clause option on him, but much of that will be decided if Burnley are able to avoid Premier League relegation. Here's Szoboszlai, drifted over to the left hand side and faced up by Tuanzebe. Not able to get past the former Manchester United man, so it'll be a throw-in for Liverpool. Midway inside Burnley's half. Szoboszlai tosses it back to the halfway line for Van Dijk. Now Konate. Both fullbacks, Frimpong and Kerkez, pushed high and wide, with Konate and Van Dijk confident they can handle the lone frontman threat posed by Armando Broja. Now Wirtz, lovely little change of direction to get away down the right hand side, tries to cut back for Szoboszlai, laid off here for Gravenberch. Gakpo, got Walker pinned back on the edge of the Burnley penalty. Szoboszlai thought about the shot, dummies across for Gravenberch. He's challenged though by Florentino Luis, and Burnley can break here. Liverpool caught out of shape on the halfway line. What can they do with this? Marcus Edwards, he's got movement in front of him, and that's a really good challenge from Milos Kerkez. Gets across there and goes to ground inside the centre circle. Liverpool want to push home this advantage. Gakpo cuts in off the left hand side, blocked away by Florentino Luis. That was the first little foray forward that we've seen from Burnley. Excellent recovery though. Milos Kerkez, who's been involved at both ends in the first 10 minutes here. Timely challenge there just as Edwards was picking his head up to find a ball forward. So if you are just a little late joining us here on Flashscore, bringing you live audio coverage of this Premier League game between Liverpool and Burnley. No goals, no attempts on target thus far. Milos Kerkez did manage to puncture a hole in the Burnley backline, but a nice bit of sharp defending from Lucas Perez has kept the scores as is. 10 minutes gone across the board in those other Premier League games. We'll take a check on those in a moment as Florian Wirtz lines one up, blocked away on the edge of the Burnley 18-yard box. Van Dijk, Liverpool will roll once more down this left-hand side. Kerkez tries to go for the 1-2. Wirtz rolls it into the feet of Cody Gakpo. Can he get away from Okechukwu? No. Blocked and just spins into the gloves of Dubravka. Very, very, very solid start by Burnley here. As I mentioned before kick-off, it's not been a happy hunting ground for them. Just one Premier League win. It's been a season to forget overall, really, for Scott Parker. He knew exactly what he was getting himself into at the start of the campaign following promotion back into the big time, but just 3 wins and no victories in 12 in the Premier League in total. The FA Cup win over Millwall last weekend providing a bit of a light relief. Not won an away game in the Premier League since the 20th of October. That was against fellow strugglers Wolves. As it stands, coming into this game, 8 points away from safety. Chance here for Frimpong. Gets away again to the byline. Floated in towards Szoboszlai, who manages to get a headed contact on that one. Not able to steer it on goal. Good work from Axel Tuanzebe, who just stepped across the Hungarian there. And that is Liverpool's first attempt on goal. 12 minutes on the clock. Dominik Szoboszlai unable to give Martin Dubravka too much to think about. Konate, good win there up against Breuer from the clearance by Dubravka. Liverpool win the turnover inside the centre circle. Great work there from Curtis Jones, just gets in front of Marcus Edwards. Now Kerkez, forward from left back for Liverpool. Jones takes over now. Liverpool just trying to pick a little pocket of space in the middle of the Burnley half. Wirtz runs into Florentino Luis and then Gravenberch into Edwards. Kerkez cleans it up for the home side. Here's Cody Gakpo. Again, that press from Burnley just forcing Liverpool back. Huge majority of the game has been played inside Burnley territory so far, but Wirtz just rolls that into Ekitike's feet. Can't quite find a way around Axel Tuanzebe, who will clear it away up to the halfway line for Burnley. Breuer looks to press Van Dijk, but he's ploughing a lone furrow up there. Edwards and Anthony already call back into a midfield four with Walker and Pires in it. Back five for the majority so far. Here's Dominik Szoboszlai, 30 yards from the Burnley goal. Tries to link once more with his international teammate there, Milos Kerkez. Wirtz. Kerkez again. Szoboszlai will go for goal this time. Blocked away by Ukachukwu. Patient stuff this by Liverpool, but it's a light blue wall facing them. Themselves a free kick there, Burnley. Marcus Edwards just backing into Milos Kerkez. Gives the away side just a chance to breathe after what's been a consistent spell of pressure from Liverpool. Well, it hasn't been quite as dominant as last season. They are still a serious force here at Anfield. Only two teams have won in the Premier League on home soil against Arne Slot's team, Man United and Nottingham Forest. 20 points gained from 10 at Anfield. Doesn't have the same sheen as last season, though. Only 15 home goals. That's in the bottom half of the Premier League table. Nice little take there inside the centre circle by Jadon Anthony. Okachukwu will spin it over to the left hand side for Pires. Space for him to march forward and force Liverpool back into their defensive third. Now Bashir Humphries. Pires will take over again, tries to thread it through for that dart forward by Bashir Humphries, but it's a sharp bit of defending from Frimpong. Goal kick for Liverpool. 15 minutes gone, it's been one team calling the tune. Burnley, coming into this game, would snap your hand off for the proverbial draw. Holding firm thus far. Alisson's clearance is not a great one. It's picked up by Burnley on the halfway line. Pires tries to spring down that far left hand side, and Wirtz gets back to concede the throw in. And we will see the first long throw of the game. Jadon Anthony is called over. Steve and Tuanzebe both ordered forward from the back by Scott Parker. And Liverpool need to get themselves back in position here as Anthony prepares to wind one up from the Burnley left. Near post this time. Steve goes short, knocked back to Jadon Anthony. Frimpong goes out to press and he's dummied past him to the byline here. Rolled to Okachukwu. And that's an important intervention there by Gravenberch. And curled over the bar by Florentino Luis. Well worked routine that between Steve and Jadon Anthony. And there's that cutback, which I think was originally intended for Lucas Pires, just sat up nicely there for Florentino Luis. Cracked it just over the top of Alisson's crossbar. Brian Gravenberch took one for the team there. Spotted the danger. Goes in firm on Lucas Pires. Maybe just a spinning ball. Florentino Luis not able to get the contact that he wanted on that one, and unable to test Alisson this time round. We do have news of a goal in one of the other Premier League 3PMs. We will get to that in just a moment as Careless clearance forward there by Bashir Humphries, and Liverpool will have a throw-in back in their own right-back position. Curtis Jones just beckoning Jeremy Frimpong back for this one. So yeah, just to confirm, West Ham 1 goal in front away at Tottenham. Thomas Frank, of course, under ever-increasing pressure in North London. Crescencio Somerville with the first goal of the Premier League 3 PM games. Michael Carrick, of course, the story of the Manchester derby. Second half goals from Brian Mbeumo and Patrick Dorgu, sealing a delightful derby debut for him. That actually brings Manchester United above Liverpool in the Premier League table coming into this game. Nice work over at left back there by Florentino Luis. Ball into the channel by Okachukwu. Konate will chase back there with Breuer. Means himself a foul there. The Frenchman got his body back in front. Breuer's claiming it should be a corner for Burnley, but Andy Madley in favour of Liverpool's number 5 there. Just sensible play from Konate, gets himself back in position and wins the foul. Quick restart though from Liverpool. Ryan Gravenberch over the halfway line here, threaded through to Szoboszlai. He'll try and feed that on to Gakpo. Can he get it into Ekitike? No. Tuanzebe back covering inside his own penalty area, just gets a block in there. Dubravka will claim. Burnley will start to fancy their chances that they can hurt Liverpool on the counter here. They've got real pace and invention out wide with Anthony and Edwards. We saw that against Manchester United a couple of weeks back. Defending champions who, I think it'd be fair to say, have not always played like the kings of the Premier League so far this season. Are yet to really make their mark on this game in an attacking sense. Swept over for Frimpong, who's well forward there from right back. Links with Wirtz to the byline once more. Frimpong with the awkward ball in. It's only half cleared away by Steve. Florentino Luis knocks it down. Jones tries to roll back to Wirtz. He's clipped behind for what initially looked like a corner there, but Bashir Humphries, screaming at the official, gets the decision. Last touch, according to Andy Madley, from Florian Wirtz. Goal kick for Martin Dubravka. Any Liverpool fans interested as to whereabouts Mohamed Salah is right now? He's not expected to be involved until at least the Marseille game on Wednesday night, as Liverpool return to Champions League action. Arne Slot confirmed in his press conference that he stayed with Egypt and he'll play in their AFCON third place playoff. This kicks off in just over half an hour's time with the Pharaohs taking on Nigeria. Senegal against Morocco is the final tomorrow night. Here comes Hugo Ekitike, stepping in off that left hand side, curls one for goal, and saved low down by Dubravka. That's his first involvement of the game. 20 minutes on the clock. So smooth, just accelerating in off that left hand side, and Luis and Okachukwu off duty momentarily, zipped goalwards and poured away by Martin Dubravka. Here's Jones forward down the Liverpool right hand side. Florian Wirtz will stick to that touchline to allow Frimpong to just step in field. Ekitike there claiming he's having his shirt pulled. Play on, says the referee. Now Gravenberch. Liverpool just building pressure here midway inside Burnley's half of the field. Konate rolls it back out for Wirtz. Now Jones can't get the better of Luis inside Burnley's penalty area. Jadon Anthony there, able to just dribble himself out of trouble. And Dubravka's rather flat clearance will be held up here by Jadon Anthony. He's claiming he was fouled. No foul given by the referee. Van Dijk quickly onto Kirkes. Liverpool have the man over down this left-hand side, and Gakpo will try and drive Kyle Walker backwards. Forced in field momentarily though. Gravenberch to Frimpong. Frimpong will hang that in towards the 6-yard line and headed over the bar by Cody Gakpo. Might possibly just have gotten Hugo Ekitike's way there. Dutch international. Just pulls off the back of Exo Twenzebi, but Ekitike had the run on Kyle Walker that time. Another half chance wasted by Liverpool. And that one from Ekitike, first attempt on target at either end. What's been a first quarter of this game that has been dominated by the men in red. Still no change in the majority of those other Premier League games. Liam Rossini's Chelsea 0, Brentford 0, Leeds 0, Fulham 0, Sunderland 0, Crystal Palace 0, and only that goal from Crescencio Somerville at Tottenham to shout about in the 3 PM Premier League games. Real Madrid securing their first La Liga win over, or rather their first La Liga win under Alvaro Arbeloa. Beat Levante 2-0. Back and being knocked out of the Copa del Rey in midweek. That was a real upset as they were defeated on the road at Albacete. Liverpool roll again here. Everybody in Burnley blue camped inside the defensive third of their field. Breuer, Anthony and Edwards back in there, just trying to hold Liverpool at bay. Here's Kanate, just let that one roll for Van Dijk, who in turn goes all the way back to Alisson. A few frustrated groans echoing around Anfield on the back of that one. Alisson with a poor clearance out, picked up inside the centre circle by Okachukwu. Szoboszlai had hands on him there. Play on, says the referee. Eventually that loose ball just nodded back to the Brazilian by Jones, who gets the thumbs up from his goalkeeper there. Szoboszlai pushes forward for Liverpool over the halfway line. Burnley quickly back in position though. Aside from that long-range attempt from Hugo Ekitike, difficult to see how Liverpool do manage to force their way through this Burnley rearguard. Kerkez will curl one in from the left-hand side. Good header there from Maxim Esteve. Wirtz will pick it up on the D on the edge of Burnley's penalty. Szoboszlai back to Kerkez. Thought about the first-time ball in there, but Edwards is back sniffing around, forces him infield. Gakpo tries to go with the back heel there for Wirtz. Kyle Walker gets in the way. Gravenberch will fire one goalwards. It's deflected behind there for a Liverpool corner. Shot in anger, really, that from Ryan Gravenberch. Catches the back of Bashir Humphreys, and that will be a second corner of the game for Liverpool. Gakpo to come and take down this near left-hand side. Van Dijk and Kanate both wheeled forward for Liverpool. Back post this time from Gakpo, punched away by Dubravka. Frimpong is the last man back here, and he'll work it neatly to Gravenberch. Now Szoboszlai. Lofted back into the penalty. Dubravka stays. Just floats past the far post there. Ekitike was the one attacking it, and with two Burnley players back in attendance there, keeping an eye on the Frenchman. Lovely floated ball by Dominic Szoboszlai. Maxim Esteve just gets himself the right side of Ekitike. Burnley survive again. Just touching back on Mohamed Salah. Arne Slot addressing questions over whether he might have potentially played his final game for Liverpool. The high-profile spat between the Egyptian and the club before he departed for AFCON does appear to be calmed down momentarily, at least. Slot said he's happy to have him back and confident he will have a positive impact between now and the end of the season, but exactly when and where he fits back into the team remains to be seen. Incidentally, he was the hero last time against Burnley. Scored a 92nd minute penalty up at Turf Moor to win the reverse fixture back in September. It was a tight game just like this, settled by a big moment from Liverpool's talisman. I think we can still call him that. Alexander Isak, there was a update from Slot on him as well. He's not expected to be back until around mid-March following surgery on a broken leg. Slightly more positive news than Leone and Bradley. Taro Endo as well is another player on the road to recovery for Liverpool. Szoboszlai forced back on the halfway line to Van Dijk. Now Gravenberch just sidesteps Okechukwu there in the centre circle, but immediately throws his hands up in annoyance as Gakpo makes the wrong run. He has to go back for Szoboszlai. Now Van Dijk in the centre circle, rolled over for Ibrahima Konate. Nice ball into the channel there if Ekitike is alive to it, which he is. Needs support down that right hand side. Now Wirtz tries to just roll that into the penalty spot. Florentino Luis gets a toe on it in front of Curtis Jones. Van Dijk will keep Liverpool push forward. Now Kerkez to the byline, hangs it into the far post. Frimpong blocked away by Burnley. And there's three Burnley bodies just throwing themselves at Jeremy Frimpong there. And fullback to fullback as Kerkez bombed forward once more. Frimpong did the best he could in that type of situation. Sat up nicely on the half volley, trying to drive it back across the Bravka's goal. There's so many Burnley players back inside their own 6-yard box that no way through. Now Konate over the halfway line into the feet of Dominic Szoboszlai. Back over now for Frimpong. He's got Pires and Humphreys in front of him. Can't quite make it round either of them, and Pires will see that behind for another goal kick for Burnley. We do have news of another goal, this time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Brentford 0. João Pedro with the opener for the Blues. Tottenham still trailing at home to West Ham. Sunderland 0, Crystal Palace 0, Leeds United 0, Fulham 0. With half an hour gone here and across those games, we are still awaiting a bit of a firecracker to get us going here. Liverpool 0, Burnley 0. Two managers with different transfer aspirations in January. Arne Slot hinting that it's unlikely Liverpool will bring in any more faces. Many Reds fans frustrated at missing out on Mark Guéhi, particularly with the uncertainty over Konate's future and Virgil van Dijk only having one more year left on his deal. Gakpo goes down inside the box here, and the referee has pointed to the penalty spot. Now, on first glance, that appeared to be fairly innocuous between Florentino Luis and Cody Gakpo. Jones just rolls it into the feet there of Gakpo, and he stands up in the face of a challenge from Florentino, who doesn't dangle a leg here, just puts his body in between man and ball. Gakpo goes over, and now I have to say, from my position, that is a very, very soft call in Liverpool's favour. Andy Badley immediately pointed to the penalty spot. Kyle Walker, as you would imagine, is leading the Burnley protest here. He darted straight over to the referee. Dominic Szoboszlai has taken the ball and will be on penalty duty here for Liverpool. And that decision has been checked and has been passed by VAR. The word coming through from Michael Salisbury is penalty, and Liverpool have a perfect opportunity here through Dominic 32 minutes gone at Anfield. Madley gives the signal. Szoboszlai steps off the crossbar. And Anfield is silenced. And Dominic Szoboszlai, who's involved in a huge moment of controversy in the FA Cup win over Barnsley, as his mistake gifted Adam Phillips a goal, steps up from the penalty spot and batters that one off the crossbar. Dubravka goes right, so does the Hungarian. And the woodwork is still rattling there. And Liverpool's perfect opening is spurned by their number 8. Here comes Cody Gakpo, the man who was felled for that penalty. And Ekitike blocked away on the edge of Burnley's penalty area. The Burnley fans who were behind the goal for that one certainly feel that justice is done. And Frimpong is away down the Liverpool right. Can he keep it in? Just about on the byline. Ekitike puts the pressure on Pires, who eventually clears it away. Jones gets there just before Breuer. Now Jadon Anthony. Marcus Edwards is the only Burnley player over the halfway line here, and he can't quite twist his way past Ibrahima Konate. Is that the signal to open this game up for Liverpool? Here comes Kerkez on to Gakpo, space to raid away down the Liverpool left, steps in, wants to get on that right foot, curls it in, palmed away by Dubravka. And Frimpong, the wild effort there, flies into the stands of the Anfield Road end. Not deterred by that setback, Liverpool. In the midst of all that excitement, we can bring you a bit of an update across the board. Chelsea still 1 goal in front at home to Brentford. Leeds 0, Fulham 0. There's been 2 goals either side of that Szoboszlai penalty at the Stadium of Light. Jeremy Pino putting Palace in front, and Enzo Laffi equalising for the Black Cats, so it's 1-1 at that one. It's still Tottenham 0, West Ham 1. Here's Kyle Walker for Burnley over the halfway line from right back. Got movement in front of him here with Marcus Edwards. Needs support, gets it from Walker, who was initially just a little cautious to go into the Liverpool half there. It's eventually picked up inside Liverpool's penalty by Ryan Gravenberch. Needs support, gets it through Szoboszlai. Just couldn't quite take that in his stride there. Florentino Luis will move Burnley forward. Now Jadon Anthony with space to get at Frimpong over on that left hand side. Pires on the overlap. Low ball is gathered though by Alisson. .35 minutes gone here. Still no goals, but Liverpool slowly but surely starting to amp things up. Ekitike denied, Gakpo denied. And then Szoboszlai, an absolute rocket against Dubravka's crossbar. There was allegations of taking things a bit too lightly against Barnsley. I don't think that was the case there. Makes great contact with the ball. Dubravka wasn't getting anywhere near it despite going the right way. It's the woodwork that denies it. Florian Wirtz here now, fancies chances from distance. Turned away once more by Dubravka. And Ekitike will try and make the most of the rebound there. Deflected behind for a corner for Liverpool. Wirtz this time stepping in off the left, and Dubravka, as he's done twice before, springs across to his left hand side to deny Liverpool a breakthrough. 3rd corner of the game, all in favour of the home team. Played short this time on the right hand side. Szoboszlai linking with Wirtz. Not able to fashion an angle for a cross initially here, and Szoboszlai is chased backwards by Jadon Anthony. Needs to be careful here. Eventually just trickles across for Jeremy Frimpong. Now Jones, who's stepped in at left back, and Frimpong eventually has to go all the way back to Alisson. Now Jones, himself and Szoboszlai have tried to shake things up in that midfield in the last couple of minutes. Jones drifting deeper and over to this left-hand side as Szoboszlai moves into a more central position. Foul given away there on Wirtz by Florentino Luis. Liverpool want to get on with this. Gakpo to the byline, floated into the box. Wirtz can't quite get away from Lucas Pires. He's claiming that he was dragged to the ground there, the Germany international. Andy Badley happy to wave that one away. He's already given one penalty in Liverpool's favour in the first half. I'd be quite surprised if there'd be a second. So far, so good for Scott Parker and his team. 38 minutes gone. Martin Dubravka has played his part. Dominik Szoboszlai denied by the Liverpool crossbar, or the Burnley crossbar rather. Here's Gravenberch, tries to step away from Edwards inside the centre circle. Jones finds Virgil van Dijk. Everybody in Liverpool red again, flooding over the halfway line here, trying to pin Burnley back for the remainder of this first half. Konate takes over, just in that right channel, feeds it on for Frimpong on the overlap, floated in towards Gakpo. It's easily dealt with though by a combination of Tuanzebe and Jadon Anthony. Gravenberch has just drifted back as a auxiliary centre-half to allow Virgil van Dijk to step forward and offer a different type of threat here for Burnley. It's a back three at times here when Kerkez and Frimpong are pushed forward. Here's Szoboszlai. That inside right channel once more for Liverpool. Tries to link with Florian Wirtz. Gravenberch will just protect that in front of Okechukwu, but Florentino Luis will then force him backwards. Kerkez goes sliding in the Burnley box there. That's a late challenge on Jadon Anthony. It's going to be a first yellow card of the game. Just tried to spin as that pass came to him, and Anthony was aware that he was not getting the ball. Makes the clearance and takes the foul. A little rash that from Liverpool's number 6, and a deserved caution for him. So 5 minutes of the first half to go here. I dare say Scott Parker will be pleased at how his game plan has worked out. No real sense of a forward threat from Burnley at this point, but as demonstrated in that Manchester United draw a few weeks back, they're happy to sit in and wait, bide their time in the second half of games. Don't score a lot of goals, but when they do, they tend to at least nick a point. 2-2 at home to the Red Devils in that one on the back of defeats to Newcastle and Brighton, but held Everton to a goalless draw. Got a point on the road away at Bournemouth as well, so there's a bit of scrap and bite about this Burnley team. And here they come forward once more down that left-hand side. Pires trying to link up with Bashir Humphreys, but it's 4 red shirts back there on the edge of their own penalty area defending. Konate has to step in. Clears away for a throw-in. Jadon Anthony just gives the shout over there if you want to launch this one into the penalty area, and that will be the case. Lucas Pires doesn't look too happy about that one. Wanted to get on with it quickly and try and create something a bit more organically. Anthony eventually does go short and floated into the penalty area. Alisson, easy claim for him there. It's the time for one more Liverpool opportunity before the break. Szoboszlai caught in two minds there as he's tracked by Marcus Edwards. Throw in for Kerkez right on the halfway line in front of his manager. Szoboszlai has dropped very, very deep here. Takes possession in front of Van Dijk. Pinged forward by the Liverpool captain. Nice take by Ekitike in this left channel, but Walker goes with him. Needs a hand from Tuanzebe, but Ekitike does well to get to the byline there. and almost manages to squeeze an effort in at the near post. It's blocked away and then fired in. What a finish from Florian Wirtz. And initially it's all about the industry of Ekitike, and as Burnley for the first time in this game fail to clear their lines, Liverpool's £100 million man just rips it into the top corner. Scored in the FA Cup win over Barnsley. That's back-to-back goals for the first time in his Liverpool career. And this is brilliant from Hugo Ekitike. Doesn't let the ball die. Forces a save from Dubravka at the near post. Jones is claiming for handball. Spies Wirtz there, 12 yards out. And before Dubravka can react, it's past him and into the back of the net. And Liverpool's dominance in the first 43 minutes here is rewarded. And that's a cracking finish from Florian Wirtz. Keeps it down and it arrows it beyond Martin Dubravka. Liverpool have liftoff. Great work there from Ekitike. Jones, whilst it was still appealing for the penalty, had the foresight to spot the emergence of Wirtz into Burnley's box. And dispatched with precision by Liverpool's number 7. A little over 90 seconds before the end of the first half, and Liverpool have a lead that their dominance has deserved in this game. I don't think Parker will be tearing up his half-time script, but that will be a frustrating one for the former midfielder. Burnley have defended so well. Certainly from my perspective, a little unfortunate with the penalty decision. But they are a goal behind here at Anfield. Kyle Walker does well there just to get back in position in front of Milos Kerkez and deal with Kerkez and Gakpo trying to build down Liverpool's left. Maybe an opportunity here for Burnley to launch one more raid forward. Edwards away down the right hand side. He has Jones and Szoboszlai for company. Can't quite wriggle away from Van Dijk. Just about still manages to emerge with the ball though, Marcus Edwards, and Van Dijk, ever alert, reads that little pop pass into Jadon Anthony. Liverpool can advance forward. Here's Szoboszlai on the halfway line. Rolled in for the Liverpool goalscorer Florian Wirtz. Adam Herzeg, the fourth official, is out with his board in hand here, so we'll get a quick update on time added on in a second or two. Ekitike once more, who's been selfless in the first half, as seen by his role for Wirtz's goal. Chases all the way back to the halfway line and eventually finds Virgil van Dijk. Now Jones. Burnley will just look to anchor themselves in here. I'm hoping for 0-0 at the break, but they'll settle for 1-0 down. 2 minutes added on. Here's Konate to Frimpong. Florentino just chases Gravenberch and then Konate back into their own half. Here is Konate again. Jones and Szoboszlai both just calling for calm here. Liverpool is keen to get over the half-time line as Burnley are, but for different reasons. As Wirtz goes chasing across the midfield there, and he's fouled Armando Broja. To the final seconds of added time, and Burnley have got an opportunity here. Midway inside the Liverpool half, that foul from Wirtz will give Kyle Walker an opportunity to float one right into Alisson's penalty area. And try and give the hosts something to think about here as we tick towards the half-time break. Walker curls that one in, headed away by Van Dijk. Marcus Edwards, who takes control over on that left-hand side. Wirtz forces in field. Now Walker rolled into Bashir Humphries. Good awareness that from Ryan Gravenberch. Just gets a toe in to allow Liverpool to break away here. And the Reds have got men over through the middle of the field. Wirtz onto Szoboszlai. Can he gather it in? Yes, he can. Into Cody Gakpo. Chance for Gakpo. Great recovery there from Maxime Steve. And the chance looked to have gone initially as Gakpo fed it on to Ekitike. But it's the recovery from Maxime Steve who's absolutely stormed back from that initial free kick for Burnley. And Ekitike just tried to peel away there. Gakpo aiming to feed it across to him on the 6-yard line, but full marks to Maxime Steve. Just charged back over at least 70-80 metres there to make a vital interception. Corner by Gakpo, cleared away. Dubravka with the punch. And Andy Madley takes a glance at his watch, and that is half-time here at Anfield. And it's been one-way traffic in general for Arne Slot's side. Dominik Szoboszlai whacking one against Martin Dubravka's crossbar. And it looked all set for a frustrating march off at the break. But Florian Wirtz had other ideas for Liverpool. A cracking snapshot, 15 yards out, right into the top corner. And Liverpool have dominated the ball throughout here, have their lead at the break. At half-time here on Flashscore, it is Liverpool 1, Burnley 0. At Anfield, Liverpool 1, Burnley 0. Florian Wirtz, 3 minutes before the half-time interval here on Merseyside, putting the defending champions in front after Szoboszlai's penalty rattled back off Martin Dubravka's crossbar. No changes from Scott Parker or Arne Slot at the break, so Liverpool as you were. Alisson in goal, Frimpong, Konate, Van Dijk and Kerkez, Gravenberch and Jones, and then a Ugachukwu, Florentino Luis and Lucas Pires in midfield, Edwards, Anthony and Breuer in the Clarets attack. And we are back underway across all of the other Premier League 3 PM kickoffs. Manchester United the early victors in the lunchtime derby with Manchester City. Michael Carrick, perfect start for him in interim charge for the second time of course at Manchester United. Goals from Mbeumo and Dorgu securing 3 points for the home side at Old Trafford. Chelsea 1, Brentford 0. Goalless at Ellen Road between Leeds United and Fulham. Also all square at the Stadium of Light, but a goal apiece for Sunderland and Crystal Palace. And Tottenham have just restarted at home to West Ham, and Spurs have it all to do in the second half as they trail thanks to Crescencio Somerville's early goal for the travelling Hammers. Attention though for us is on Liverpool against Burnley, and here is Armando Breuer drifting over into that right channel. Konate stays with him and forces him back into his own half. Ugachukwu just switched over to the Burnley left now with Humphreys and Pires. Marcus Edwards has floated more centrally in the first few minutes of the second half, with Kyle Walker tasked to get a bit higher and wider down the Burnley right. And as the game ticks on, we will see Burnley start to take more and more calculated risks. It's a fairly solid situation they find themselves in despite being a goal down. It's a team that, as you mentioned early on in the game, haven't won in 12 in the Premier League, so being a goal down to the defending champions will not be cause for panic stations. And here they come, building towards the edge of Liverpool's penalty area. Florentino with Bashir Humphreys on the charge down the left-hand side, rolled into Jade Nancy. Now Marcus Edwards on the turn, and that is a warning shot for Liverpool. Just couldn't quite arc it into that top corner. There's a flurry of Burnley movement on the edge of the Liverpool penalty area, and then Edwards just steps away from Ryan Gravenberch. Tries to just swerve it beyond Alisson. Just can't quite get it on target. Better from Burnley though. Liverpool restarts through Ryan Gravenberch. Nice little turn of pace for him to get away from Breuer on the halfway line. Now Szoboszlai takes over inside the centre circle. Chased there by Edwards, but manages to keep his footing. Back with Gravenberch. Waits for the run forward of Ekitike into the channel. And Steve will stay with him to the byline. Again, just tries to feed that into a dangerous position for Liverpool. It's struck goalwards by Gravenberch, and then Frimpong just flings himself at the loose ball inside the penalty area. Ekitike went the long way round there initially. It just sat up nicely for Ryan Gravenberch, 15 yards out, blocked away by Burnley, and then Frimpong, who's yet to score a Liverpool goal since joining in the summer from Bayer Leverkusen. Lashes that one off target. Here is his ex-Leverkusen teammate who has managed to get on the score sheet today, Florian Wirtz, but he runs into trouble on the centre circle, has his pocket picked by Florentino. Edwards tries to charge forward, but Frimpong does well to stay with him, backed up by Szoboszlai. He's then dragged to the ground by the recovering run of Pires. This will be a free kick for Liverpool on the halfway line. Wirtz pings it across for Kerkez, who's got space to gallop forward now from left back. On to Gakpo. Walker will stick with him over on that far touchline, but he's managed to evade the former Man City man, but only to go back to Kerkez. Gakpo goes against Walker again. It's deflected behind for a corner this time. Good persistence that from Cody Gakpo. Five minutes gone in the second period, and the first corner since the restart. Kanate, Van Dijk both called forward for this one. Will be Cody Gakpo to take. Kanate and Van Dijk both taking up positions on this penalty spot, and it's a hoisted delivery from Gakpo in towards Van Dijk. Walker just gets his body in position to shield his fellow captain away from that one. It'll be a goal kick for Burnley. Just looking ahead to later on this afternoon, if you are sticking with us here on Flash Score, it's a crunch game at the City Ground at 5:30. Nottingham Forest hosting Arsenal. Current Premier League leaders as it stands, 6 points ahead of Manchester City after their defeat on the red side of Manchester. Forest just 4 points above the Premier League drop zone. Sean Dyche with no doubt over the task ahead of him. With Marcus Edwards with space to raid over the halfway line, but he's ran straight into Milos Kerkez there. No foul, says the referee. Jones eventually steps in to help out his teammate. Kerkez back on his feet there. Becoming an increasingly influential force in this game, Marcus Edwards. He's caused quite a few problems for Milos Kerkez, just popping into that little half space in between the two holding Liverpool midfielders, Jones and Gravenberch. Two very attack-minded fullbacks like Kerkez and Frimpong. Wily wide forward is always a cause for concern. Here's Curtis Jones to Van Dijk and back again once more to Alisson. Pump forward up towards Cody Gakpo. Walker's just a bit more alert to that than Hugo Ekitike in it. With a heavy clearance, but Martin Dubravka is able to get that one back downfield for Burnley. Volleyed forward by Van Dijk. Walker couldn't quite gather that one in, so it will be a throw-in for Liverpool on halfway. Quickly taken by Kerkez. Jones. Gravenberch inside the centre circle. Needs support. Gets it just in front here from Szoboszlai. Liverpool starting to cook here as Vert steps away inside the box. And Dubravka sticks out a toe to deny him. Clever bit of invention from the German there. Just let the ball do the work as it came to him. And he almost looked as if he had evaded Esteve. And Dubravka to the rescue. Great weight on the ball here from Szoboszlai. It's a combination of Esteve and Dubravka in the end that managed to get it away for Burnley. Kyle Walker, nice ball through the lines there into the centre circle. Burnley have got a man advantage here if they can get it loaded off quickly. Edwards on to Anthony, who's got space to attack down the Burnley right. Burnley almost stopped there in anticipation of an offside flag, and that's allowed Liverpool to get back in numbers here. Anthony on his own momentarily. Kerkez and Gravenberch will chase him down. The ball is eventually floated in though by Edwards. Van Dijk deals with it. Frimpong is pulled back by Lucas Perez. That'll be a free kick for Liverpool. Did well there, Jeremy Frimpong. Looked as if he was in a spot of bother initially and bought himself a very intelligent foul. And Scott Parker has sent a few of his substitute out to warm up 10 minutes into the second half, and he has got attacking options if needed. Jacob Brand Larsen, Lyle Foster, Ashley Barnes, who scored in the FA Cup win over Millwall last weekend and famously scored the last time Burnley won a game in the Premier League here at Anfield. Late penalty from the veteran. That'd be a bit of theatre if he was to come on and make an impact here today. Kerkez spins that down the left hand side for Liverpool. Gakpo into the space vacated by Kyle Walker. Walker does well to recover there. Eventually, Wirtz takes over here. 25 yards from the Burnley goal, just left of centre. Kerkez to Szoboszlai. Burnley back in numbers here to defend the edge of their own penalty area. Wirtz tries to dip away from a couple of challenges. Roll back here and off the line. And Burnley clinging on. Just about managed to smuggle that away. Lovely feet from Florian Wirtz. Just steps away from a couple of challenges. Finds Gakpo. He manages to shovel it goalwards. And it's cleared off the line by Bashir Humphreys. Burnley can break away. Broye in this left channel. Again, he's so isolated whenever he tries to break forward. Konate and Jones just charge across to win back possession for Liverpool. Here's Szoboszlai. Burnley need to get back into shape, and they need to do it quickly here. Frimpong. Room to accelerate away down the right hand side. He's got company in the form of Pires and Humphreys. Wants that run of Wirtz in the channel, gets it to the byline now with two players in hot pursuit of Liverpool's number 7. Back with Frimpong. Now Szoboszlai. Florentino does well there just to hunt down Szoboszlai midway inside the Burnley half of the field, and can see the throw in but just stem the tide of Liverpool attacking pressure. Took evasive action there to keep the score at 1-1. That's exactly what Burnley have done. Jones can't keep his hands to himself from the throw-in, and he drags Humphreys to the ground. We have just been shown a replay of that opportunity for Liverpool. Lovely little disguised ball from Florian Wirtz, and Gakpo doesn't get the cleanest of contacts. 8 yards out. Just tries to scoop it goalwards, but it's the position in there from Bashir Humphreys that makes all the difference. Just gets it away right in the nick of time. Martin Dubravka not really able to do too much about it. That's the closest Liverpool have come in this second half. It's a constant wave of pressure from the home team. They have to find a way to convert that into a chance. Here's Frimpong, gets away down the right hand side. Clip ball in is only half dealt with though by Maxim Steve. Now Gakpo tries to step away from a couple of challenges there. It's eventually just shepherded away from trouble by Kyle Walker. Ball in once more from Gakpo, deflected behind. That'll be a Liverpool corner. No changes in the other Premier League games as we tick on to the hour mark. Still Chelsea 1, Brentford 0. João Pedro's early goal. Leeds 0, Fulham 0. Sunderland 1, Crystal Palace 1. Tottenham 0, West Ham 1. That game did start slightly later though, so there's only 55 minutes gone in North London. So corner again over on the Liverpool left. Whipped in by Gakpo. Good punch there from Dubravka. He's under pressure right on his goal line there, so the former Newcastle man did exceptionally well to get it away. There's an opportunity here for Burnley to build down the left hand side. Florentino is short on options to pass to though. Eventually breaks down there. Jadon Anthony loses that tussle on halfway up against Dominic Szoboszlai. It's Gakpo again, moving freely down that left hand side, tries to link with Wirtz, but he's forced backwards by Ogachukwu. It's all on Liverpool here now if they can get that second goal. Clever ball into the channel by Konate, trying to spot the dart across as Steve by Hugo Ekitike, but Martin Dubravka was even sharper than both of them. And we are seeing some movement on both benches here. Burnley trying to build themselves back into the game in the final half an hour or so. Liverpool, despite their injuries, they do have options if Slot wants to try and ensure this ends in 3 points in his favour. Alexis McAllister, Federico Chiesa, the teenage star Rio Ngamoa. Here is Szoboszlai on the centre spot for Liverpool. Spins back to Konate. Gravenberch is hassled inside the centre circle there by Ugachukwu, and eventually decision goes in favour of Liverpool. Ugachukwu had his arm around Gravenberch's waist. I don't think he can have too many complaints about that one. So into the final half an hour here on Flash Court. Liverpool 1, Burnley 0. Florian Wirtz's second goal in 2 games, just before the break. On the back of that Dominic Szoboszlai penalty that cracked back off the crossbar. Burnley haven't created too much in the opposite direction, but for as long as it remains 1-0, Scott Parker's team certainly in with more than a fighting chance. Throw in for Burnley over in their right back spot. Walker thought about tossing that one down the line, but again opts for safety into Dubravka. Humphreys, now Florentino can't quite gather that pass in, but he's helped out inside the centre circle by his midfield partner Ugachukwu. A little better this from Burnley as they try and build some pressure inside the Liverpool half. Walker from right to left. Pires pushed forward here. A chance to go one-on-one with Frimpong. Humphreys in support on the overlap, doesn't need him for the moment. Tries to roll that in for Ugachukwu, but able to get a chance to wheel a shot off, and Florentino there spotted the run over on the far side of Kyle Walker, but execution leaving plenty to be desired. I think we are going to see a change in the next couple of minutes from Scott Parker. Alisson gets us back underway here. Clearance over towards Gakpo is dealt with by Kyle Walker. He does really well to snap in there, and there's a chance here for Burnley if they can get it across. Konate! Oh my God, what a save from Alisson! And almost a comedy own goal from Ibrahima Konate. And that's Burnley's best chance of the game. And it's fallen to a Liverpool player. We'll come back to that as a moment here as Burnley try and build once more down the right hand side. Edwards to the byline. And it's smuggled behind for a corner eventually. And this is all about the anticipation of Kyle Walker here. Just snaps in, feeds Marcus Edwards. He squares it across the box for Jadon Anthony. And as Konate slides in here to try and deflect it behind for a corner, it takes a heck of a reflex save this from Alisson to keep out his own defender. And eventually Liverpool clear it behind for a corner. There's a big pat on Alisson's back from Liverpool's number 5 there as he survives a horror moment. Alisson with the punch from the corner. Goes all the way back out to the Burnley right hand side. Anthony will go up against Kirkes once more. Now Edwards looking to float one in. Just drift over the top of Alisson's crossbar. And that would have gone down as one of the most bizarre own goals I have ever seen in the Premier League if Konate had put that past Alisson. My word. Real aggression from Kyle Walker down that right hand side. Kirkes not anticipating the pass into feet. Edwards is away. Square ball across. And with the goal gaping, Konate almost did Jadon Anthony's job for him. Jones takes the pass from Alisson on the edge of his box. Now Wirtz. Konate. Frimpong not sharp enough to that ball forward. Taken off him by Lucas Pires. Here is Florentino. Walker has drifted into the middle of the Liverpool half here. Wants to have a bit more of an involvement, the former Manchester City man. No stranger to a battle against Liverpool. Ball into the channel again. Here and a chance for Burnley! And an equaliser for Burnley! And Marcus Edwards bullets it into the bottom corner. And Liverpool switch off again. And the Clarets are level at Anfield. His first Premier League goal of the campaign. The first ever Premier League goal, in fact. And it comes at a vital time in this one. Florentino just spots that little dart into the left channel. Canate too slow to get across. And Edwards back across Alisson. 1-1, game on here. And Burnley have really started to amp it up in the last 5 minutes. Liverpool have had their warnings. Alisson denying Canate. And the Frenchman again, just not quick enough, not sharp enough to get across to that situation. Edwards takes it in his stride. Brilliant finish. The man who joined from Sporting Lisbon in the summer permanently cracks that one into the bottom corner and has given Burnley, with all due respect, a bit of a shock route back into this game. 67 minutes gone here. Liverpool 1, Burnley 1. What have the defending champions got in response? Scott Parker has just told a couple of his players to sit down. Those planned substitutions might be put on ice for the moment. Quite likely that we'll see a Liverpool change before we see a Burnley one in the wake of that equaliser from Marcus Edwards. Ollie slots back out at the edge of his technical area here, barking instructions at Dominic Szoboszlai. More than a few jangled nerves here at Anfield. Liverpool have had the chances to ease this game away from Burnley. That Gakpo effort taken off the line by Bashir Humphries. And just a small bit of Burnley pressure. Canate saved from embarrassment. And then the more bread and butter of his job, he not able to get out there and foil the danger posed by Marcus Edwards. And Liverpool have paid the price. Here's Frimpong. Pushes Humphries and Pires back towards the edge of their own penalty area. Gravenberch forced onto Virgil van Dijk, who's pushed deep into the heart of the Burnley half here. Szoboszlai, everybody in Burnley blue back on the edge of their own 18-yard box, defending Martin Dubravka's goal. Hoisted in by Kerkez, headed away by Pires. Wirtz will recover this one for Liverpool. Now Gravenberch, that's a poor take from the Dutchman. Okachukwu, though, can't quite gather it in. Jones for Kerkez. Gakpo, he's got Kerkez bombing beyond him on the overlap. Ignores him for now. Jones to Wirtz. That little rolled ball back into Curtis Jones, though, is clipped away by Edwards. Back on defensive duty, the Burnley goal scorer. Pires does really well there inside the penalty area. Just gets back in to nod that loose ball away from Cody Gakpo. And another bit of vital defending from the Burnley centre-half there. Heads it away and then drops back in alongside Dubravka to clear away another effort from Cody Gakpo. Szoboszlai winds one up from distance. Straight down the throat of the Slovakian. Liverpool have responded really positively to that equaliser. It's Humphries again who thwarts Cody Gakpo. 20 minutes to go here. Liverpool 1, Burnley 1. And the Clarets are digging in and making life very, very difficult for the defending champions. Andy Madley has just had a quick word with Virgil van Dijk there, who's unhappy with it. Challenge on him by Edwards. Nothing more than a free kick for now. Gravenberch takes over on the halfway line. Everybody but Alisson pushed over the halfway line into Burnley territory. Here's Jones, just slightly right of centre, tries to float one into the box. Szoboszlai will give chase. Tuanzebe will see that behind for a goal kick for Burnley. We have had an equaliser at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Thomas Frank's side level. Christian Romero, 64 minutes gone. And under pressure, Spurs manager has got himself a helping hand from his captain there. Chelsea still 1-0 in front at home to Brentford. Leeds 0, Fulham 0. 1-1 between Sunderland and Crystal Palace. And of course, Liverpool 1, Burnley 1 here at Anfield. Esteve just steps ahead of Ekitike there on the halfway line to win a really important header, but it's Gravenberch who's quicker in the tussle than Edwards. Konate able to mop up that loose ball. Here's Van Dijk over the halfway line. He's got Kerkez chasing away down the left-hand side for Liverpool. Gakpo there just dipped in field at the wrong moment. Kerkez wanted to go straight into the Dutchman, and eventually that breaks down. Kyle Walker will feed Jayden Anthony on the halfway line. He's got no support for the moment. Konate will track him. Kyle Walker just about able to avoid the Frenchman there and keep Burnley in possession. Now Florentino switch to the near left-hand side for Burnley. Pires rolled into the feet of Edwards. He can't quite find Jayden Anthony, but Wirtz is unable to get it away, so Anthony will have a chance. Just fizzes that wide of the near post. That is that threat of Burnley that we've mentioned, with Anthony and Edwards. So clever in those tight spaces, Marcus Edwards. He's able to just dip and dodge away from challenges. He almost teed that one up perfectly for his fellow winger. And we are now going to see those belated Burnley changes, but before we get to that, Sunderland have taken the lead at home to Crystal Palace. Brian Broby. Scott Parker's just asking for a moment here because he actually wants to make two changes. Maxim Esteve has gone down off the ball. Just have to keep an eye on that momentarily for Burnley. And Lyle Foster is one of the alterations being readied by the Burnley manager. Virgil van Dijk has voiced his frustration about how long it's taken. The Burnley players just taking full advantage of this. Drop over, take a quick break, and speak with Scott Parker. There's Hamjar Ekdal and Lyle Foster. There are two changes being readied by Burnley. If Esteve is unable to continue, Ekdal will slot straight in at centre half, and I would anticipate that Foster will be on for Armando Broja. Esteve has just been helped back up to his feet, but he doesn't look as if he will be continuing on for much longer, and that is the change. The Burnley captain is replaced for the final 16 minutes here. And as expected, it's Foster for Broja at the top of the team. So a change at both ends for Burnley. Not had too much to work with today, Armando Broja. Now Foster, who does have a couple of Premier League goals to his name so far this season, will play out the final stages here as Burnley try and hang on. Liverpool quick to get on with it. Here's Kerkez. Acres of space to race away down that left, but he's only able to find Gakpo, who's blocked off by Kyle Walker. Throw in for Liverpool right on the edge of the Burnley penalty area. Kerkez tosses that back for Van Dijk. Konate and Van Dijk both just sat on the edge of the centre circle and allowing the rest of the Liverpool team to go and press Burnley back into their own penalty area here. They need a lock picker. Szoboszlai tries to clip one in for Ekitike. Headed away Gobbled up over on that left-hand side by Kirkes. Now Gravenberch. Foster went sliding in on him there, and he fortunately missed the ball, Lyle Foster, because that would have been a foul on Ryan Gravenberch if he'd made contact. Van Dijk takes over. Konate, the last man back here, 30 yards from the Burnley goal. Rolls it over for Jeremy Frimpong. He's got 2-on-1 here, Frimpong with Anthony and Perez. Eventually Konate will curl that ball into the penalty area, falls over the far side. Zipped goalwards by Cody Gakpo. It's an easy one for Dubravka. He's had his chances today, Cody Gakpo. Neither he nor Hugo Ekitike have been able to find a way past Martin Dubravka thus far. Jones goes back to Alisson. Kyle Walker there leading the press for Burnley. Here's Konate. Steps forward from the edge of his own box. Jones. Gravenberch. Now Van Dijk. Liverpool again trying to force their way down that far left-hand side with Kirkes and Gakpo. Kirkes takes it on this time. Tries to float it in towards Szoboszlai. The header is deflected. Liverpool are appealing for a corner there. They will get it from Andy Madley. Curtis Jones was busting a gut in behind Dominic Szoboszlai there to try and keep it in play, and it's an awkward opportunity for Liverpool's number 8 there. He darts into the box, tries to just nod it down into the ground, and gets a really poor connection on it. Corner taken quickly between Wirtz and Szoboszlai. Curled in by Szoboszlai, knocked down, and Tuanzebe tries to get it away, and it's turned home. Liverpool back in front, but they're denied by the offside flag as Hugo Ekitike wheels away in celebration. The flag on this near side goes up. Szoboszlai from the recycled corner just floats that in. Van Dijk knocks it down. Tuanzebe doesn't read the bounce of the ball, and Ekitike is in on it like a flash. The Burnley players, I think, initially were claiming that Van Dijk had fouled a couple of players here as he was climbing all over two Burnley men. The referee here just indicating to Hugo Ekitike that was actually called back for a handball against him. As Tuanzebe was unable to clear his lines, it does spin up and strike the Frenchman on his forearm. And that is the reason for the goal being disallowed. So we stay as we are. Liverpool 1, Burnley 1. Liverpool here going to try and make a triple change. 11 minutes to go. It's a bold rolling of the dice from Arne Slot. Andy Robertson will replace Milos Kerkez over at right back. Rio Ungamoa and Alexis McAllister also ushered on by the Dutchman. We'll just get a confirmation of those changes in a moment as Burnley get us back underway. Jayden Anthony away down this left-hand side. Konate tries to come out, put the pressure on. That ball just rolled in towards Edwards, will only make its way into the gloves of Alisson. Here is Robertson's first involvement. Pass forward is cut off though by Kyle Walker. Szoboszlai will pick it up inside the centre circle. Now Frimpong. Frimpong does well there just to wriggle away from a couple of challenges, gets to the byline. And the cross backwards sits up perfectly for Alexis McAllister. That's his first touch. And he rockets it over the top of Dubravka's crossbar. Jones with the initial attempt just fizzes back to McAllister 15 yards out. He's only been on the field 20-30 seconds and clatters that one over the bar. What an introduction that would have been. So those changes just to confirm: McAllister, Robertson and Ungamoa on, Kerkez, Gakpo and Gravenberch off. Like for like changes all around. Robertson at left back, McAllister into the midfield alongside Jones, and Ungamoa trusted with adding something over on that far left hand side for Liverpool as we move into the final 10 minutes of this game. And Frimpong there can't quite pass out from the edge of his own box. Anthony with the squeeze. Here is McAllister. Curls that over to Andy Robertson. Now Ngamoa. First chance for him to get forward. Kyle Walker's got some ground to make up to go and challenge the Liverpool substitute. To the byline. Ngamoa clipped in. Headed away by Twinzaby. Konate will keep the pressure moving forward though for Liverpool. Here is Frimpong. Faced up by Jaden Anthony. Will again try and zip by him. Gets past him. Cut back there, but it only falls for Jones, who screws it wide of the post. And Ekitike threw himself at that one. Frimpong causing a headache here yet again for Pires and Anthony. Just pops that into the near post. Jones drags it across goal. And Ekitike stretching every sinew here to try and get a toe on that one. He just can't turn it beyond Dubravka. Another chance goes a-begging for Liverpool. 82 minutes on the clock. Liverpool 1, Burnley 1. Liverpool 6 wins in a row against the Clarets prior to this game. They left it very, very late at Turf Moor back in September. Mohamed Salah's penalty after the 90-minute mark. They might need another late show here today. They're going to have to do it without their Egyptian king though. He's in AFCON action for Egypt in their AFCON third place playoff up against Nigeria. They're currently losing 1-0 actually in that one. Any Liverpool fans looking to keep an eye on Salah's international exploits. Robertson tries to float one into the penalty area here. That's eventually just nudged behind for a corner. Pires had a quick look at the referee there to see if it spotted that he was the one who knocked that behind. The corner is given. Szoboszlai floats it in, headed away by Twinzaby. Vital at the back today, the former Manchester United man. Szoboszlai try and curl another cross in, but it's looped up into the air. Gathered in though by Ngamoa. Just right of centre, midway inside the Burnley half. Ngamoa back to Szoboszlai. Now Frimpong. Szoboszlai tried one from distance, but he cannons that one into the back of Lyle Foster. All hands on deck here for Burnley. Wirtz and McAllister. Andy Robertson has pushed forward from left back. He's happy to play as high as needed here. McAllister with another ripper from distance, but clean into the hands of Martin Dubravka. Twinzaby's clearance is half blocked away over on that far left hand side. Good work from Robertson to link here with Wirtz. Gakpo takes over now. Trying to work an angle here to get a cross away from Kyle Walker. Headed back to him by Ekdal though. And Ngamoa will dash across to take the throw in for Liverpool. Just be held up momentarily here because Scott Parker wants to make another change. Again, Virgil van Dijk voicing his frustration to Andy Madley. It's going to be Leslie Okachukwu who applauds the Burnley fans as he strolls off. Joshua Laurent is going to play out the final 5 minutes here. It's a defensive change for Burnley. Laurent, centre-back by trade, will slot in there and keep Burnley ticking over in the final few moments here. So 5 minutes of normal time to go, plus whatever Madley and his assistants add on at the end of the 90 minutes. Here's Dominic Szoboszlai, pressed by Anthony inside the centre circle. Manages to just squeeze a pass towards Ibrahima Konate. Szoboszlai again, now Van Dijk. Space for Liverpool to build over on that left once more. Ngamoa steps away from Walker. Links up with Wirtz. Now McAllister, shepherded away from goal though by Florentino. Konate joins Frimpong down this right hand side. McAllister will arc one into the penalty area. Walker just manages to lever Andy Robertson off that, but Florian Wirtz will chase it down and keep it alive in front of the corner flag. On to Ngamoa. McAllister can't quite get away from Florentino. Ngamoa went down in a heap inside the penalty area there. It's a half-hearted initial appeal for a penalty, but nothing doing. Szoboszlai now does really well, and he just can't quite squeeze the shot off. Just turned on the burners there, Dominic Szoboszlai, as he got into the Burnley penalty area, gets away from Florentino. But all credit here to Bashir Humphreys, who once again just gets across and manages to distract Szoboszlai enough that he can't get a clean strike away, and Martin Dubravka eventually is able to deal with it for Burnley. Liverpool from a position of real strength in this game, where they knew Burnley would carry a bit of an intermittent threat, have allowed the Clarets to come back into it. And now with a little over 3 minutes of regulation time to play, they're having to go gung-ho in search of a winner and break a streak of 3 successive Premier League draws. They were held at home to Leeds, they were drawn on the road at Fulham and Arsenal. This certainly will be a game that many Liverpool fans would have earmarked as 3 points. Burnley, no win in their previous 12. They have proven to be a bit of a tough cookie though. 3 draws in the last 5. Only one of them away from home though, down at Bournemouth. Held Manchester United and Everton to a share of the spoils at Turf Moor, and that's exactly what they're aiming for here in the final couple of minutes. Change for Liverpool. Curtis Jones sprints off, and Federico Chiesa is on. Would anticipate quite a bit of added time. We've had lots of stops and starts in the second half, so plenty of work for Burnley still to do here. Parker is readying another change as we move into the final 90 seconds of the 90. Throw in for Kyle Walker. Tries to just launch that into the channel for Lyle Foster, but it's dealt with well initially though by Andy Robertson. Loose ball picked up by Laurent. Van Dijk just puts his foot through that one. Tries to get Liverpool back into the Burnley half here. It's an awkward moment there at the back for Humphreys and Ekdal. Eventually just hacked away though by Bashir Humphreys. Liverpool back in possession inside their own half of the field. Konate to Van Dijk. Final minute of the 90. Van Dijk will float that one over to his international teammate Jeremy Frimpong. Space for him to cruise forward from right back. Wants to take Anthony on again. Gets past him, and Humphreys hangs into the far post. Headed away by Tuanzebe. Picked up over on that far left hand side by Rio Ngamoa. Now Van Dijk. McAllister has space here, 25 from goal. Can he get a shot away? Great recovery from Marcus Edwards there. Just sticks a foot in on Alexis McAllister at the vital moment. Another little ball into the channel for Ekitike to chase, and he's squeezed out of it by Tuanzebe and Ekdal. Big round of applause for his 2 defenders from Martin Dubravka there. Before we go into added time, we will get this final change, final double change from Scott Parker. It's the goal scorer, Marcus Edwards, who's making way here alongside Florentino Luis. Another ex-Manchester United man who will be seeing out this game for Burnley. Hannibal Mejbri and Luam Chawona and Hannibal. The final changes for Parker as he looks to just eat down the clock here. Dubravka goes for distance on the goal kick. Foster just about gets there ahead of Konate, but he's gone in late on Jeremy Frimpong. A free kick for Liverpool. Back in their right back position. They want to get on with this one here. 2 balls on the pitch momentarily there as the referee will call that one back. Canate not happy. There's going to be a card here issued by Andy Madley. Canate was furious with how long that was taken to be sorted out by the officials, and does look as if it was a yellow card. It was flashed in his direction. We'll get confirmation in that in a moment or two. Or possibly be somebody on the Liverpool bench. 7 minutes of additional time. Szoboszlai rolled back over to the Liverpool left, and Ngamoa. Walker has just stepped to a more conventional right back spot to allow Chiona to cover at right wing back. Everybody realistically will be back in defending for Burnley in these final minutes. Frimpong tries to keep alive. Eventual cross that comes in from Ngamoa. In vain though from Liverpool's right back, so goal kick for Burnley. The correction on that yellow card, it was actually Ashley Barnes who was off the substitutes bench and interfering with play. Canate was not happy with him or the Anfield Ball boys. Barnes, who scored the winner for Burnley here. The defending champions slipped up against the Clarets back in 2021. He's had a little role to play here as well. 2 minutes of the additional 7 have been played. Here come Liverpool again. The tangle here between Bashir Humphreys and a couple of Liverpool players midway inside the Burnley half of the field, and it will be a free kick in Liverpool's favour. Actually found 2 Liverpool players there, and eventually Szoboszlai will have a chance to curl a delivery in. A rushed effort from him, but Walker gets back in time, heads it away from Van Dijk. Van Dijk doesn't seem ready for that one as Szoboszlai whipped it in, but he'll stay forward for the corner. Szoboszlai will go over to take over on the Liverpool left hand side. In front of the Kop here, everybody in red packed in there, headed away by Ekdal. Liverpool not able to quite keep possession there from the clearance, and Burnley will try and raid forward here, even just to maintain a bit of possession. Hannibal with space down the left hand side. He's got runners in front of him, the former Jayden Anthony here. McAllister had to be quick about his business to get across there and clear that one away. Walker picks up the loose ball on halfway. Just a bit of keep ball here for Scott Parker's side over on that far right hand side. Kyle Walker using his experience alongside Chiona. They managed to win themselves a corner as well, Burnley. Real battling stuff. Josh Laurent, the other substitute, who's thrown himself about since his introduction. The assistant referee has actually changed his mind on that one. It will be a throw-in for Burnley right in front of the corner flag. Initially it looked as if he'd signalled for a corner. Laurent is unable to keep that in from Kyle Walker, and Liverpool will now have a throw. So 4 minutes of the 7 additionally indicated have been played. Full-time whistle starting to sound across the other Premier League games. We'll get a full review of those in just a moment or two. Another throw-in for Liverpool back in that left-back spot. The Burnley substitutes really throwing their weight behind this battling effort to secure a point at Anfield. Here's Andy Robertson. Tries to roll it up to the halfway line, but it's cut out by Bashir Humphreys. Again, he'll fire it into that right channel, but Van Dijk comes out on top this time. Throw in quickly taken. Szoboszlai with the awkward ball across to Canate. Manages to keep it alive for Liverpool here. Canate's claiming a foul there as Jayden Anthony slipped as he tried to challenge him, but it's just a throw in for now. Szoboszlai takes over. 95 minutes gone here. Frimpong with space to attack over the halfway line. Hannibal backing off towards the edge of Burnley's penalty. Konate will square it across the middle of the Burnley half for Van Dijk. Now Ngamoa wants to hang a cross in from that left-hand side. Steps away from Kyle Walker. Popped into the feet of Ekitike. Can he lay it off to Chiesa? He can. Twenzebe just slams the door in his face. Robertson will get it back in. Ekdal with the header away. Not cleared though by Burnley. And that is a head-in-hands moment for Federico Chiesa as he goes up for the challenge with Josh Laurent. And Laurent happy to go to ground there. It's unfortunate that for Federico Chiesa. He does catch Laurent in the back, but he doesn't intentionally jump into him to cause a foul, but it's a fairly routine decision for Andy Madley, and that will tick us into the final minutes of the 7 originally indicated, and Leeds have stolen it at home to Fulham. Lucas Lemaitre in added time, putting them 1-0 in front. Full time at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland 2, Crystal Palace 1. We are still going across all of the other Premier League 3 PM games. Is there to be one final sting in the tail for Liverpool? Konate over the halfway line. Everything forward here now for Liverpool. Szoboszlai will take over. Dinks it over to that left-hand side. Robertson takes charge in front of Ngamoa. And eventually just stops short on the corner of Burnley's penalty area. Szoboszlai will take over. Now Van Dijk. Back with Ngamoa. Final throw of the dice here for Liverpool. Tossed into the penalty area, blocked away, and then smashed over the bar by Alexis McAllister. And that should and probably will be that for Liverpool. Full-time whistle at Stamford Bridge as well. Chelsea 2, Brentford 0. João Pedro and a penalty for Cole Palmer, securing 3 Premier League points for Liam Rosenior. The final few seconds at Elland Road. Leeds snatching what looks like victory at home to Fulham. Spurs 1, West Ham 1. That's into added time as well. And we are beyond the 7 minutes initially tacked on here at Anfield. Dubravka with the goal kick, and Madley with the final whistle. And Liverpool have spurned a chance to secure 3 vital points in the race for Champions League qualification. Dominic Szoboszlai thwarted by the crossbar in the first half as his penalty crashed back off the woodwork. Florian Wirtz hammered Liverpool in front just before the interval, but as the Reds failed to capitalise on a flood of chances at the start of the second period, they were made to pay by Marcus Edwards' instinctive finish in the second half, and the Clarets head back up the road to Lancashire with a vital point in their fight for Premier League survival. Here on Flash Score, full time, it is Liverpool 1, Burnley